Certain times, sound financial advice, very important.
Each Thursday, we're joined live by Steve Peasley. He is a registered investment advisor and president of KPP Financial out of Dana Point. Thank you very much for coming in today, Steve.
Thanks for having me again.
The decision always comes up when you buy a car, to lease or to buy. It's maybe a decision that a lot of buyers aren't going to have so much anymore.
No.
Chrysler, I think, for one, says they're going to stop leasing cars. It has to do with you need the banks to support you with
Yes,
leases,
you do.
and I guess they are not going to, or at least their own financing arm. But let's start again. You still will be able in some dealers to lease cars. The
Yes.
decision, lease versus buy.
Well, there's pros and cons, lease and buy. Most of the time, the nice thing about leasing is you get a new car.
Right.
And you get it every so often. Right? I mean, every year, 2 years, or whatever the lease is. That's a good part. And another good part is it's less expensive. The bad part...
Yeah, payments tend to be, depending on how expensive the car is, a couple of hundred.
Yes, much less. Now, the bad part is that you never own a car. You never own an asset. Now, a car is not a great asset. It's a depreciating asset. So it's nice, but you'll never, ever run out of payments if you lease. Buying a car, you'll run out of payments. You eventually own the car. That's the good parts of that. And now, leases, the reason why leases are disappearing or they're getting tougher is because the cars coming back, those big SUVs, no one wants them.
Right.
So the dealer doesn't want it back. The cars, they can't sell them.
So perhaps this is a good gambit. These cars, if you don't mind the high gas prices,
Yes.
these SUVs coming back, probably a good buy on these cars.
You can get them for much less than you used to. If you really like those big cars, I never really liked them, but if you really like them, and maybe you have a big family, boy, you're in the driver's seat as far as buying one of those things.
Okay.
So it's a good thing. Yeah.
It often comes up. Go ahead.
In your opinion, for anybody that could be watching, deciding should we buy or lease right now, with all the things that we're hearing in the news, the lease is coming back to the lots, what would be your suggestion right now for them to do?
The financially smarter thing to do, in my opinion, would always be to buy a car, save up money, and pay cash for it. I know that's almost... I know it's almost impossible for most people.
Right.
I understand that. But if you can get on that side, and then, over the years, instead of paying every month, save every month for the next new car you want to buy.
Further to that would almost be necessary that you're saying buy a car that's not new.
That's right. First one, you got to buy a used car.
Right.
Okay. Then the next one, you save up to buy that new car, and it'll be sooner than you think if you're disciplined about saving that monthly payment that you don't have.
A lot of folks have businesses and can write off part, if not all, their car payments. Any difference leasing versus buying? What you can write off?
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of difference, and there's a little bit benefit if you're leasing it through a company or something like that, and it's a nice benefit for your employees.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a little bit of difference there.
Lastly, we've had some stimulus packages coming from federal government. There's even talk, perhaps in this budget stalemate, we might get one at the state. In 2008, is there any incentive to buy a car?
I know. I looked at that, and you know, it's this thick. You know, I looked at it, and I couldn't find one thing in there about vehicles. It's all about housing, which is important. I mean, we talked about that the other week.
Sure.
So it's all about housing. I didn't see anything in there about cars.
But much like homes, it is a buyer's market. Whether you're leasing or buying, to get a car.
Get a car, and get a big one if you wanted to pay really low prices.
Okay.
Yeah, except that you're going to, on the back end, have to deal with gas, right?
They're falling. Oil's below 120.
Remember we talked about that, and I said it was going to fall?
You said that it was
down
going to.
$25 from the peak.
And it's going to go to $100.
We'll see. We'll check again with you again in a few weeks. Thank you, KPP Financial President Steve Peasley. You can check out his website at investtalk.com, and he'll be back next Thursday. And if you have a question for him, cars, houses, anything, email it to us. Our address is news@kdoc.tv. Thanks for being here, Steve.